Here we go. We're back here again in full swing for episode 4 of the Diamond Blades podcast. Myself, Adam Nazz, joined by my boy here, Shukri Nazz. How we doing? 4. Do you want more?
Bobby Orr. Oh, man, I'm good, man. Listen, it's Thursday, and I am drained. So I'm going to attempt to wrap myself up today in hopes that I could somehow muster up the energy of this ginger ale that you see right here, so I won't fizz out. But I'm good. I'm good otherwise. How are you doing?
Let's go. I'm ready to roll. Been a long day trying to get the nerves back. I had a bit of like a coffee surge yesterday. I just had too much coffee, so I stayed away from that today, and I'm glad I did because otherwise I'd be off the walls. But,
at least you're honest.
Yeah, we're good, man. Opening day for Major League Baseball will be next week. We're bi-weekly, so we're gonna get our picks in now, our favorites to win the divisions, leagues, titles, Cy Youngs, MVPs, you name it. Hot takes on some Red Sox and Yankees.
Of course.
After that, the Bruins, are staying hot despite falling to the Toronto Maple Leafs the other night in a tough one Tuesday night at the Garden. I happened to be there. We'll discuss, the key factors for this team down the stretch, along with some key acquisitions at the trade deadline. Playing the Devils tonight, recording on Thursday night. Hopefully they can pull that one out. Our power play segment will consist of the hottest team in the NBA. I mean, lost 2 in a row right now, but the Boston Celtics, despite losing center Robert Williams for 46 weeks, we'll touch upon that too. I want to give a big shout out to Hedgebettor, like always. Justin, you do a great job, man.
Hedgebettor!
Unchained's better. There we go. Big shout out there. So lots of action here with both sports almost in full swing. Let's get it started, Shukri.
Let's do it. I mean, we're now in April. Yes, we're recording on March 31st, but listen, we're in April.
Yeah, April.
So now this is where everything, and I mean everything, begins to get revved up in terms of the playoffs. We could feel it. Everybody could feel it around here. Bruins, Celtics, they're going to be in the playoffs. So there's a lot to look forward to in the month of April, in which I'm ready to talk about. But for right now, there's a lot going on with the Celtics. There's a lot of question marks in terms of how are they going to handle the adversity of losing Robert Williams. So far,
I like it. You getting into the power play first. I like that.
Jeez, Louis. Look at me. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so sorry, Adam.
No, I love it. Power play. I'm starting 5-on-4.
Of course, because I was actually tweeting about this last night following the Celtics loss to the Miami Heat. I mean, listen, I knew that this was going to be a tough matchup because we're talking about the Heat in terms of their ability to match up well against the Celtics. With a healthy Robert Williams, they could counter with a guy like Bam Adebayo, and obviously you know what the Miami Heat have in terms of their firepower. Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and even as much as that has been said about the Heat falling apart, you had a feeling that last night's game was a playoff caliber type of game, and it was. But there were a couple of things that really bothered me, and that was number one, the turnovers, and then on top of that, the amount of points that the Celtics allowed in the paint to a team like the Miami Heat, who is, in fact, one of the better teams in the NBA in terms of scoring from the paint. So the thing that worries me now is this. And there was a Celtic fan, and I'm sure many Celtic fans who thinks like this, where they were saying, well, in Toronto, you didn't have your 4 best players, blah, 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 so you can't really put that on them. A loss is still a loss. But I'm not jumping to the point of overreacting or panicking, but I want to put this out there now in the podcast that I put on Twitter last night.
Oh, boy, here we go.
When you are faced with adversity, that is where you are going to see the little cracks in the true nature of how far this team has come.
Determines heart of a champion.
You saw with Marcus Smart. I didn't like what I saw last night.
Oh no, and
that's I'm using it as a prime example, especially the fact that he basically got tossed out of the game.
Yeah, I mean that's just after the fact. They're about to lose anyway.
Right. That was like a quit moment. Like why? Why do that then? In which that.
Oh, sorry, that was my laptop. I blew it.
I was like, wait a minute, is that my phone? No, my phone was on silent.
Anyways, so my take of this Celtics game. Best loss of the season. Best loss of the season.
Best loss of the season.
Best loss of the season. You know why?
I was going to say Toronto, but go ahead.
Because there's 6 or 7 games left.
5, but yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. 5 games left, 6 going into last night. Having the 1 or 2 seed is not ideal this season. You do not want to play.
It's not a priority.
You do not want to play Brooklyn in the first round.
Yeah.
It was the best thing in there. And then after the Toronto loss the other night where they clearly with Tatum and Brown out, which just said the Marcus Smart FGAs because I think he had like 25 points, like 20 field goal attempts. You knew that was going to carry into this game, and that's when the Celtics sucked early in the season when he tried taking that many shots. Marcus Smart was it Wednesday night there?
Yeah.
Against the Heat, 3 for 15. 15 field goal attempts, 10 3-point attempts. That's too much for Marcus Smart. We do not want that. That's losing basketball.
It's like Marcus Smart reverted back to the old Marcus Smart from the beginning of the season and even last season too. Whereas I'm going to be the volume shooter. I don't care the fact no one asks me not to shoot. I'm just going to chuck the ball in the air and hope that it goes in. That is how you lose game. But for those watching and listening out there, I'm not putting this as some sort of as I'm going to pin this game on Marcus Smart. That's not what it's about.
No.
Because if we're going to be frank, listen, Jason Tatum didn't have a great game. Jaylen Brown didn't. He had an okay game.
See, I
don't think neither one of them had their best game last night.
I think they played fine, but when it comes down to it, you look at the fourth quarter, 27-15. Miami outscores them at the end of the game. At the end of
defensively, they just fell apart in the fourth quarter.
At the end of the day, not even just people from the Miami Heat hit the shots, and the Celtics kept turning over the ball at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So this game came down to crunch time. And by the way, I couldn't believe I haven't seen Victor Oladipo play in a while. Like, is he hurt?
Yeah.
He's hurt.
He hasn't been healthy.
No, they said, dude, he says DMP, coach's decision. So I'm like, this guy was averaging like 25
Either
points,
that
like
or
3
Eric
years ago.
Spoelstra wanted to try a whole new combination, but I didn't hear anything about like why he didn't play last night. But go ahead.
They cut their bench. And you know what? Pritchard saw some minutes there at the end of the game. I like Pritchard's game. He's one of my favorite players on the team. Derek White obviously has been a great pickup. And how about this? Robert Williams out 4 to 6 weeks was the torn meniscus. Now that trade Dennis Schroeder for Daniel Tice. Now who looks like an absolute bandit out of that trade. He's saving. I mean, I'm not saying Daniel Tice is going to come in and be, this big bad center that Rob Williams is, but he has to fulfill at least the role in a way that, at the game against the Raptors the other night, I know they had no one playing, but he was the catalyst. I think he had close to 20 points. He had
something like that,
and one layup. He's a guy who's worked his way well in the rotation. I still think they need to move. They need to get more of these shooters who aren't getting any time at all, like Sam Hauser, even the guy Stauskas who can hit shots down the stretch. Because Aaron Nesmith, he's got plenty of action, plenty of opportunities. I think you need to just these last 6-7 games here. I don't even care if Tatum and Brown play another game until the postseason. I want to see who can play and who can't on this bench, because at the end of the day, if you don't have Robert Williams the first round and you're cut to 7-8 people. And, people start getting tired in a 5, 6, 7 game series.
Yeah.
You're going to need some guys, at least in the beginning of the fourth quarter, late third quarter, come in and hit some shots. Well, these guys, Tatum and Brown, I know they're going to be playing 40 minutes each, but there'll be a filler and a gap there of time where you're going to need a scorer on the court. And Marcus Smart is a great defensive player for this team, but he is not your answer on that, and neither is Grant Williams. Has had a fantastic season offensively, the best, I think, bigger than the ceiling I ever even imagined, and that's another guy where I'm not focusing on him to be the third option here. If you look at the third options of this team of scoring without Robert Williams, you have Jaylen Brown and Tatum, I think, number one. But I mean, either way, you can't miss there. And then afterwards, who's next? Is it Derek White, Pritchard, or Al Horford?
It's more than likely Derek White, but Derek White gives you.
He gives you everything.
He gives you everything. He gives you a little bit of offense, but he's definitely more on the rebound and defensive side of the ball as well. So, in terms of the Robert Williams thing, 4 to 6 weeks, I think that the Celtics are being extremely generous. I, for one, do not want him to come back if he feels like he's not ready. That's my only concern. But it really is best case scenario that he's only out for 6 weeks, and that's only roughly a month. Should the Celtics get to the second round of the NBA playoffs? Because, let's be honest, let's not assume that the Celtics are going to just walk to the second round of the playoffs. But I do think that those 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to see a lot in terms of where this team is, in terms of its dynamic, and in terms of its toughness as well. Because I really did not like what I saw last night.
Have you ever seen any experience of Rob Williams having resiliency to injuries? I haven't so far in his career.
That's been his problem is his injuries.
Yeah. Well, so what's telling you that he not even 4 weeks? What's telling you he's even going to be back 6 weeks? Besides the team doctors saying that when it's really all
or maybe Celtics PR just putting it out there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for that, if there's a guy who, even like just say Marcus Smart has this injury, I think I would expect him to be back in 4 weeks. That's the type of player I know he is. Yeah. Rob Williams, I'm not calling him a sissy or anything, but if you're a center, you're getting those big bad bruise injuries, and again, it comes with all experience. If you have experience of not being, prone to coming back off injury, then how are we supposed to expect him to be back in that date radius, the time radius?
For sure.
Yeah, for the Celtics, though, I said best. Let me get back to my point of the best loss of the season. So now the Celtics are 2 games out of the number 1 seed. The number 4 seed right now, they'd be playing Chicago if the season ended. They're tied for 3rd as well. So they would be playing Toronto of the 6th seed. Bottom line, Brooklyn, number 8 seed. Going to be flaming hot going into this postseason with Kyrie Irving able to play everywhere now. So I would stay out of the 1-2 seeds, because if you get a Miami Heat, if you get the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Brooklyn in the first round, that means not only does not even just a good team, a great team go down, but the team who gets out of that series is going to be beat up.
Oh yeah, it's going 7 games, especially if it's Milwaukee and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going 7 games because number one. The Bucks, as we all know, defending NBA champions. But now that Kyrie's available to play home and away, now it changes. We're just speaking hypothetically, obviously. Now that would change the entire tenor of that entire series. Now we talk matchups. We talk about like Bobby Portis matching up against, like, let's say, for example, Kyrie, or a KD going up against Giannis, for example.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Spencer Dinwiddie is out still for the season, or if he's returned yet. But if he's
Dinwiddie, I think he plays for the Maverick. Well, he got traded to the Maverick.
Yeah, traded.
Yep.
Okay.
Either way, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, right. But the matchups become increasingly that important because of the Kyrie factor. Now,
exactly.
Who is going to defend Kyrie and be able to at least slow him down? You're not going to be able to shut him down completely. That's just an impossible task. So. But you're right. The Celtics, they don't want to play Brooklyn in the first round. But I do believe that if you are the Celtics, if you're going to get to the finals, you have to at least get through either Brooklyn or Milwaukee for sure.
Oh, you're gonna, absolutely. And if they're even at the seed they're at right now, you're talking about hypothetically Brooklyn plays Milwaukee in the first round, 7 versus 2, and then we would play the Heat in the second round. So we get away from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn the first 2 rounds. I think that would be big. Just small predictions here. I think Brooklyn could beat the Heat. I don't think Brooklyn has what it takes to beat Milwaukee. I think the head coach Steve Nash still has a lot to learn, and their defense isn't. That's what's
they don't defend well.
What's killing them.
Yeah.
They don't defend well. Bottom line, they're putting a lot of pressure on Andre Drummond to play well. If you think that guy, is good with pressure, just see when he was with Detroit, see when he was with all these losing teams.
Yeah.
Now that he's with a winning team, I think they're going to start getting pissed, Kyrie and Kevin Durant, when these guys around them aren't going to play to their level.
Right, and you talk about Andre Drummond, you talk about his importance coming up for whoever the Brooklyn Nets play in the first round. Yeah. I do think that if Brooklyn is in fact going to make a deep run, now that you have Kyrie back, you have KD who's healthy. Mm-hmm. Both guys are healthy because last year, if we remember, neither one of them were like fully healthy. Especially going into that Game 7 between Milwaukee and Brooklyn, where
that was a banger.
Like that, yeah, that was an absolute banger. So that to me is going to be the most important aspect of the NBA playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Is the storyline of 2 things. Brooklyn, Kyrie and KD, can they take their game to another level together, healthy? Albeit without James Harden and who got traded to Brooklyn for Ben Simmons, and who knows when Ben Simmons is coming back. That's the first storyline. And then the other storyline being the Boston Celtics. Can they weather these last 5 games without Robert Williams and as well as the first round, and how will they fare without him defensively?
So they play the Pacers, they play I think Detroit, and then they wrap up with they have the Bucks in Chicago, and I think there's one more game. But I think you want to go to 2-3, 3-2. I think it's fine. Puts you in the position where you're at right now, where I think if they play Chicago, that's a 6-game win. And then if you play Toronto barely beat you with your JV team out there.
Which says something, yeah.
So that could be fun. I mean, I know Cleveland's 2 games back of getting there too. Even though you give me Cleveland too. I think season 5 they play Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a fun matchup. But I do think that also, if in fact things stay the way that they are. The Celtics being 4, I mean, they would end up playing the 5th seed, whoever that may be. Let's say if it's Chicago or Cleveland, that's a much more favorable matchup. Especially, I'm not worried about offensively. I'm more concerned about defensively. Okay, how would the Celtics fare against Chicago? You know how dangerous they are, or with DeMar DeRozan in the year that he's been having, along with Zach LaVine as well. So there's that concern, and then also like with Cleveland is no pushover either. Like they were actually one of the big surprises in the NBA this season.
Yeah, they dropped off though. They have a lot of Darius Garland. They got some Jared Allen.
Jared Allen, yeah,
has been great. I think they had a rookie too. I'm forgetting his name, but they've had a very promising year. That's a team that it's cool. They'll make the playoffs, but they'll go down. To your point of Chicago, I know I said season 6 over them if they played each other, but yeah, that's a very underrated basketball team they have over there. I mean, when you mentioned like Lonzo Ball or you mentioned Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan is an absolute gamer when it comes to the last couple of minutes. Kind of reminds me of a Jimmy Butler-esque type of. Oh yeah, he's just the
cuff on the same cloth. Yep,
exactly. So I'm hoping the expectations a week ago from the Celtics to this week.
They're not non-championship expectations, but I do think that this is a test. It's a legitimate test for the Boston Celtics in terms of where they are going to be, and as well as how do they handle these next four and a half.
To your point of you made total sense. You coming right out of the gate and saying this team needs something. Their backs against the wall, resiliency. They need to see what they're exactly made of, and I kind of love how they just went from the favorites last week to being an underrated team now because they're without their center, who's definitely been their 3rd best player all season.
Yeah. No question, and there's a reason why that he was a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. That's how good he's been. And you talk about the development of Robert Williams, considering when he first got drafted out of Texas A&M, all the reports of like him being immature and like is he mature enough to be able to play and mature in terms of being able to handle the responsibility of being an NBA player. It's amazing that we've seen the growth that he's gone now in year 3 in the league. And I just think that this is just the beginning.
He's a dog, man. He's a top center in the league. I feel like every time someone puts one up for an alley-oop, he's always getting it done.
Yeah.
Even just him on the defensive end.
And even the way, even his passing, last night, I felt like that was the game where the Celtics really missed Robert Williams passing the most, because I feel like as much as we talk about what he does, like in terms of the rebounds and defending against some of the top players of the opposing teams, but his passing and the way how that impacts the offense is what made the Celtics be able to flow so well prior to Robert Williams going down with that injury.
And it hurts everyone, but in particular, it hurts Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart was just feeding him all day. I think I saw Marcus make a pass last night to Tice in between traffic. He got picked off in 2 seconds, and I'm like, he just wants 44 pack. He just needs them now. Rob Williams, though, it's great to see how far he's come. I think you need to credit Ime Udoka, who's had a tremendous, again, talk about a guy who had a lot of resiliency early in the year, 23 and 24. You know, we already gutting for his head, and then should be at least a top 3 candidate of Coach of the Year, if not the guy. I don't know how he doesn't get it. I mean, he comes in to a culture who's kind of beat up, just lost their GM, just had to get rid of their head coach to make him the GM, just to get on the spot. Kind of a tough situation where you really didn't know where everything was going. Were they going to trade Jalen Brown? Were they going to get rid of these guys? But at the end of the day, he's done a very good job, very fine job, and hopefully they can get just a series win or two.
Yeah.
Obviously in Boston, everyone's title contention, but let's pump the brakes on that a little bit.
For sure.
See if we can get 44 back and really get this thing rolling.
Absolutely.
Moving on now. Great to start the power play first. It
was not expected.
We got the man advantage. We're here. Got the new couch in. Showtime just brought in the new couch.
Oh, thank goodness.
Good stuff. We'll go into MLB Opening Day.
Yeah, let's do it.
So that starts next week.
Next week, Thursday. And then also, as an important asterisk, Opening Day is next Thursday, but next Friday is the first day you have a full slate of games. Okay. So not everybody's starting next Thursday. We do know the Red Sox and Yankees are starting next week, Thursday.
Oh, that's a Thursday game?
Yeah, that's a Thursday game. But everybody starts officially next Friday, the 8th.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll get right into it. So spring training, at least I've been looking for the Red Sox, has been pretty good for this team.
Oh yeah,
good to see Trevor Story going on. Get a nice hit yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Marcel Meyer with the home run off 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Nathan Eovaldi, Bobby Dahlbeck's hit the ball extremely well, first baseman there. And then you see the bad part of it. In our last episode, I was hyping up the potential third starter of this rotation, and Tanner Houck.
Great point.
And he's been everywhere, man. I watched for a quick second yesterday, and he plunked some guy in like the head. That guy couldn't find the strike zone right now to save his life. I feel bad for the guy. Hopefully he gets it together, but that's something to really ask of how deep is this starting rotation and even pitching staff going to be. And we got Garrett Whitlock. They're trying to make him a starter. I like that. Chris Sale seems to be coming along just fine. Will be probably available by the end of the month because we're in April now, right? And then Nathan Eovaldi getting his ass kicked by single A guys, but that's
it's
all right.
Spring training. I wouldn't read too much into it. Like what? It's honestly, I'm gonna put this out there now.
Yep.
In all seriousness, folks, do not expect pitching to come out the gate roaring. In all seriousness, don't. Because, number one, the shortened spring training, that is going to impact pitching. So expect a lot of high scoring early on in the season, the first 2 weeks of the season, starting next week. That's number one. Number two, the hitters, they're by far, based on what I've seen throughout spring training so far, they're far on the way ahead of the pitchers.
Oh yeah.
In terms of timing, in terms of being able to like in terms of the hitting overall, absolutely. So when we talk about Nathan Eovaldi, don't. I'm not worried.
I'm not
rare.
worried about Nathan Eovaldi. I'm just kind of shitting on him for letting up a home run to a 17-year-old. I do have major.
So age matters now. Like what the hell are we doing?
Definitely, absolutely.
Like wait, why does age matter? It's spring training. You're gonna have a bunch of single A, double A, triple A guys trying to get their conditioning in, and you worry about age?
He was the number one starter for a team all last season, and you let up a home
I'm not worried.
I'm not worried. I'm just shitting on him because that's funny.
Why?
Because it's funny.
So let me answer this question. So if Jacob deGrom allowed a bomb, which, by the way, he's been unhittable this spring training so far, and Max Scherzer as well for the New York Mets. So if they give up a home run to a 17 or 18-year-old minor leaguer, we're going to start shitting on the guy? Like, it's spring training for Pete's sake.
I'll give you a Herb Brooks quote. So that goalie from the Soviet Union.
Oh, yeah.
You're scoring him, keep the puck. So if you're a 17, 18-year-old hitting a home run off Jacob deGrom, keep the ball because it doesn't happen
as if you get
often.
it back.
Oh, that ball's gone. My point, though, I do have a little concern on Tanner Houck because if you have the yips early on spring training, at least through my experience, it does not work out for you in the long run. I'm hoping that he gets it together. I mean, he only let up one run yesterday, but he hit like 5 guys. So maybe clean that up a little bit. I definitely like what I see from the Red Sox. It's good to see, the signing of Trevor Story, Rafi's killing the ball.
He's looked amazing.
Yeah, he's going to be the best offensive player on the team. Even JBJ hitting a home run last week. That was good to see. Everyone's ripping on him for his offensive game. Clearly,
because he's a 200 career hitter.
Oh yeah, and you traded him for a 30 home run hitter.
Exactly. Talk to me in late May, early June when he's hitting 215 and you're screaming on the top of your lungs as to why the hell he can't hit the ball.
175.
Better yet, 175.
175.
Yeah.
Over under.
Under actually.
Yeah. So how have you been keeping tabs on the Yankees end? I haven't really too much in.
I have to an extent, because I've been more focused on Major League Baseball as a whole.
Yep.
But in terms of the Yankees, what I am most concerned about is their ineptitude when it comes to Gleyber Torres playing shortstop. Why the fuck do they continue to have him continue to play that position, albeit in a backup role? Like, what are we doing? Have we not learned over the last couple of years he can't play short? Like, listen, stop.
Who's the backup option?
There is no backup option. After Kinsa Falafa, there is no backup option. So it's like, Brian Cashman, please. And then it's March 31st, and I'm not going to Blues a gasket.
He just commented on the 2017.
I heard about that, and it pissed me fucking off. Because honestly, I'm like, dude, it's 5 years. Move the fuck on. And then on top of that, do you and I a favor. Do a better job constructing the team. Stop blaming the Astros for 2017. It's done. It's over with. I moved on. Yeah, we should hold it against the Astros, sure. But if you're gonna use that as a starting point, then what the hell are you doing?
They better put it on his tombstone when he dies, just like
2017, robbed of a ring, just like Jada Pinkett Smith. Like, I mean, really, like, damn.
Oh boy, I like that. We'll hop right into it right away. We don't have to do every division because that takes a while.
Yeah.
But we'll get AL East predictions. Toronto is an absolute wagon this season. The Rays are coming back as the defending AL East champions, if that's a big crown or whatever. The Red Sox had a little deep postseason run last year, and they defeated your New York Yankees in the wild card.
It happens.
So I'll take the floor first. I really like what Toronto's done, but I'm going with the. I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm an unbiased baseball guy, but I think the Red Sox are going to get it done. I think they have the best 1 through 9 in the division. I think just as good as the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have not shown me anything, at least on the field, that has shown me that they have what it takes to get it done and wrap up a division. So I do think I'm taking the Red Sox here, as along with the Blue Jays and the Yankees to face in that AL wildcard matchup. Anton, your Rays are going home early this year. What did you think? I think the Sox have what it takes. 1 through 9. Last year with JD Martinez. Could be last year with Xander Bogaerts. They're going to let this ride. They're probably going to be more pitching in the deadline.
If it's possible to pull up the Blue Jays starting lineup 1 through 9 right now.
I'll do it.
Because the homer came out of you. It came out of you as if like the Red Sox are the one lineup in the division who can absolutely rake and no one else can. Please.
I did not say that. I said they have the best lineup in baseball.
They... Do not make me get up. Are you serious? Yeah. They have the best lineup in baseball. Yeah. They have the better lineup than the Dodgers?
AL East. I'm at AL East. I'm
like, please, don't make me get. I'm like, they don't have a better lineup than the Dodgers. Are you crazy?
No, AL East.
I was about to say, I'm like, really? Okay. And the AL East, debatable. I'll give you that.
Oh, it's definitely debatable.
Debatable.
The Red Sox are.
But I still put Toronto ahead by a hair. Because man, Teoscar Hernandez is that wild card in that lineup. Yes, losing Marcus Semien is a big loss in that lineup, although he signed a free agent deal with Texas.
Yeah.
But Teoscar Hernandez is going to find himself having a bigger role in that Toronto offense, which is why I believe that Toronto, they're pretty clear. And
Springer, Guerrero, Jr., Hernandez, Bo Bichette, Gario Jr., Matt Chapman, Kevin Biggio. I mean, you name it, they got it. Good.
Like, how do you not expect Toronto to at least win the division. For me, I have the winner of the division outright. Okay. Like, in terms of the wild card, this is why the AL East is going to be the best division of baseball
like
this
it is
year.
every year. Like it is every year.
Every year. Yeah, but specifically this year, because if you ask me to pick the playoff teams this year in the American League overall, I still got the White Sox winning the Central handily, and I think that, honestly speaking, I really do believe that Tim Anderson is good enough to win American League MVP. AL West, I think that right now it is the Astros' division to lose. And as much as I hate to even say that, but I really do think
by default. Honestly, Houston. I mean, Texas spent some money this season. The Angels really never show up. Oakland, who knows what year they can.
I got Houston, but honestly, Seattle is a very intriguing team in that division. Not overlooking them by any stretch of the imagination, because when I tell you that Robbie Ray is gonna have a big impact on that rotation in Seattle, being the A's defending AL Cy Young Award winner, I really believe that, and I also do think that the Seattle Mariners, if you talk about what they are going to have to go up against Houston, it has been the class of the division over the last several years, which is why I think right now Houston takes the AL West. Central goes to the White Sox. AL East, I'm going with Toronto, but I do think wild card it will come down to Yankees and the Yankees and the Red Sox. But the Red Sox and the Rays they're gonna have a dogfight down to the final weekend of the regular season, which is now in early October. Now that we know the full schedule, I mean, yeah, it's tough.
For sure it is. I'll lead on. So I said Red Sox. You said Blue Jays.
Right.
With a couple of wild cards thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
I will go.
Both wild cards are coming out of AL East. I'm willing to bank money on that.
Oh, and that should be like every year for however long that goes on.
And then also, by the way, as a reminder, wild card now is now best of 3, not best of 1 anymore. It's now best of 3.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's even better. It makes it focus much more on what sequences of starters you're going to roll in,
exactly.
who you're going to throw in game 1,
and home field advantage, who's
that too. So ALCS prediction and winner, and then we'll do NLCS. So I'll go first, and I think like every year, and they seem to show up every single year. I think Houston is a team that can get there. I think Houston is a definite team that can get there, and I think. For this season, and I don't think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to get in the wild card. I think they're going to win that one. I think, like you said, they have one of the better offenses in baseball. I rank them as the second best offense in the AL East. I think Toronto has a great chance to, have the luck of Canada.
Luck of Canada?
Yeah, go through Toronto versus Detroit.
Just for that, the next podcast, I'm gonna wear all my Blue Jays fitted. I'm aware. I'm serious. In 2 weeks, I'm gonna wear it. Okay. Just for that. Luck of Canada.
Luck of Canada.
Good God.
Blame Canada.
No. Why would I want to blame Canada for what?
Not that it's a fizz. So I got Houston going back to the World Series.
You're nuts. You're out of your fucking mind.
I think they'll get it done.
Toronto and Chicago is going to be your ALCS matchup. And man, Chicago. I don't understand why the baseball prognosticators keep sleeping on Chicago. Excuse me if I'm having a moment where I'm mumbling or whatever. But man, does anyone understand just how good Chicago is and how much of a darkness they truly are in the American League? Not just the AL Central. AL Central, they're favorites. But in terms of the American League, that team is sneaky scary.
I'm going with teams that have the experience of winning in the playoffs against these shit.
And you don't think Chicago's experience from last year or even 2020 doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't, because they got shelled each time.
Because, they went up against Houston last year. I'll give you that. Fine.
And they're going to go up against Houston again this year, and they're going to lose.
However, now, you turn around and you look at what Chicago has been able to do. And to what they're bringing back this year, I believe that the experience and having a healthy Eloy Jimenez, who, by the way, was banged up last year, having a healthy Eloy Jimenez You talk about
Lucas Giolito,
like Lucas Giolito, and as well as like Lance Lynn,
Alex Keuchel. They got a bunch of veterans,
right? And they got arms. I mean, although losing Carlos Rondon is a bit. They
picked up Kimbrel though, right? They got him. I think they got Craig
Kimbrel. You're right. Yeah. So
I'm proving your point.
But then now the lineup, like if you're gonna overlook. If you're going to look Luis Robert, I talked about Jimenez already, but don't forget about Luis Robert. Don't forget about Jose Abreu. Don't forget about Tim Anderson, who is a perennial MVP contender, considering how good he is. And I just think that Chicago's lineup, when they're all healthy, specifically Eloy Jimenez, they're among the best in the American League.
They're a good team, and don't get me wrong. I just feel like any team that makes the ALCS is... At least one of them is going to be out of the AL East because these teams.
Who farted?
These teams are battle tested, and I think Toronto for one. I'm not gonna make the Red Sox my World Series pick because that's just not going to happen. That's not what I'm going to accomplish here. But I think Toronto has a great team. I don't think they're going to win the division, but they're going to be one of these teams that come out of the woodwork and get the job done. I think. White Sox run into a buzzsaw in Houston first round and go home early. That's my take on that.
Oh, wow.
On the other hand, moving on to the NLCS.
What about the National League divisions and then the NLCS? Because I think that for me, I've had the most challenging time with that because I've given a lot of thought.
Well, I think the biggest free-for-all is the NL East. There's a lot of teams that have gotten better. I think
there's two that division specifically is a 2-team division right now. That's the Atlanta Braves, the defending world champions, and as well as the New York Mets.
You're forgetting about another team.
Wait, are we talking about the Phillies? You know what? The Phillies I won't overlook. I'm talking about. I'll give them the wild card, honestly, and I mean that. Like I have them as a wild card team, but
Castellanos, they just got Schwarber. They got a bunch.
That Nick Castellanos signing was a fucking sneaky. That's a sneaky good move.
He's a killer.
Yeah, like
he played for the Reds, and no one cares about the Reds.
But now he's going into a market where as the Phillies they're under the spotlight constantly, and I just think that if Philadelphia can figure out its pitching rotation beyond Nola and as well as Zach Wheeler, who really finally emerged on the scene last season, you got something there. But for right now, I still got Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's going to win.
But the Mets pitching rotation is legitimately fucking scary.
Yeah, it's only a matter till the Mets choke as the Mets, but I'm ready to be.
I really want to believe they will, but that rotation, man, like...
You cannot any year of any...
But DeGrom, the best pitcher in baseball, and Scherzer? I mean, don't forget, they also picked up Chris Bassett, formerly of the Oakland A's as well.
Good player.
Like, which is why like they got the pitching. So now it's not a matter of do they have enough pitching. They got the pitching. It's now going to come down to offensively. How does Robinson Cano look at second base? He's coming back after being suspended all of last year.
It's going to be a comeback tour too because he's going to want to prove.
Correct, and then as well as Brandon Nimmo as well, and then like you talk about first base, Pete Alonso. So offensively for the Mets, I just want to see can the bats be consistent enough to also complement the pitching. That's going to be the big question. Now, in terms of the NL Central and the NL West is where I had the most trouble because...
Should be easy.
No, because the San Francisco Giants are not going anywhere. It is going to be a dogfight down to the final month of the season.
I think,
but the Dodgers, with their additions to picking up Freddie Freeman, yeah, I think it should be more than good enough to put them over the top to put them in the World Series. But at the same time, it'd be a major mistake. Mark my words, March 31st, April 1st. It would be a major mistake to overlook the San Francisco Giants when you consider that they still got a pretty terrific rotation in their own with Logan Webb still the number one guy.
I'm overlooking San Fran just simply because the Dodgers look like they're an unbeatable team. San Fran losing Chris Bryant, I think, is a big crash to that lineup. I don't know why he went to Colorado. I guess for the money. But
money? That's why.
What an idiot. Yeah.
Because let's be honest.
He would have got paid anywhere. He would have got paid anyway.
Not San Francisco.
Oh yeah, he would have. Well, not San Francisco.
Not San Fran.
Who knows? Who knows? We're not in those GM rooms.
Sure.
Maybe we should have gone back to the Cubs. Maybe you should have played.
No.
Maybe you should have went to the Yankees. No.
No.
Okay. Well, I'll get the Dodgers there. NLCS. I think Milwaukee is a team where they have a really good offense too. I think they got Hunter Renfroe out of
from the Red Sox. Yeah.
I think McCutchen will bring a lot for that veteran leadership in that lineup.
And then that rotation. We talk about Corbin Burns, Wandy Peralta, and then there's the guy Woodruff.
Yeah,
that's an excellent 1 through 3 staff right there.
They always have like a hilarious Oakland A's. Might you say it rotation? Obviously we know these guys now and Woodruff and them, but you didn't know any of these guys a couple of years ago, and then they came on to see Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. I like Willie Adams too. He played for
Adames,
the
yeah.
Rays. Yeah, is it Adames?
Yeah.
Okay, either way. And then Lorenzo Cain's always a stud. Christian Yelich.
But Lorenzo Cain he's been banged up the last couple of years, and this has impacted his offensive production. So that's going to be one of the big question marks surrounding the Brewers is the health of Lorenzo Cain. Also, the biggest question of all, Christian Yelich, his health, and can he produce? Because last season was a nightmare.
He'll be back.
I'm banking on him being returning back to his MVP form that he was, in 2019. But last season was an awful one offensively. If he's right, that Brewers team,
they're NLCS bound.
I think that they could very potentially be an NLCS bound because a clicking Christian Yelich could have been a difference last year for them versus the Atlanta Braves, the eventual World Series champion Atlanta Braves.
Now, I have the most boring World Series pick. It's
boring.
Yeah, it's very boring. It's the Dodgers over the Astros. I mean, if the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year, it's a huge disappointment. It's honestly laugh out loud funny. Haha, you guys didn't win the World Series with all that talent, with all the lineup, with all the pitching. They have everything you want. Literally everything.
They're getting back a healthy Justin Verlander. Yeah, that should be interesting.
Yeah, this is just it's insane.
But I got Toronto coming out of the American League.
You're sold on them.
I'm genuinely sold on Toronto on the Blue Jays. And in terms of the National League, I really want to say the New York Mets because of their rotation.
Toronto versus the Mets.
Yeah,
that's an interesting
because I really believe that if that would have happened, lineup versus lineup, Toronto rakes. Pitching, the Mets have the rotation advantage. Bullpen, Toronto, because if you look at the arms in the bullpen right now, between Toronto and the New York Mets, the Blue Jays got the advantage. But I do think it's going to be Blue Jays Mets in the World Series. And frankly, it really would be a very compelling World Series. I really believe it.
That would be very watchable. If the Mets versus the Blue Jays were in a World Series,
yeah.
You're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals versus another team that never makes the Super Bowl or something like that. And that type of
the Blue Jays haven't been in the World Series since almost 30 years, since 93.
Yeah, and the Mets stink. What else is there to say?
But now with Buck Showalter at the helm in the dugout for the New York Mets, I do believe this is a team that's more than talented enough to really contend this year, and they have the pitching. They have more than good enough of offense. If anything, that's really the only concern that I have is offensively. How will Pete Alonso bounce back, and as well as what type of offense are you going to be able to get realistically from second base? I think Francisco Lindor is also going to be the big key for that Met offense. If he goes, they go.
Oh yeah.
But what you saw last year when he struggled, that entire offense struggled.
It's crazy how a game like that's so contagious when there's 9 guys playing.
Oh, it's amazing.
How fascinating the sport is.
Yeah.
Our last before we get into hockey real quick. AL MVP, who do you like?
Oh, gosh. This is tough. Oh, man.
I got it right now. So I think, despite not going to make the postseason, I'm still going to give it to him. I think Wander Franco is going to come on on the scene
as
a
that
league
is bold.
MVP, AL MVP.
That is bold.
I think he's going to have about 35, 40 jacks, bunch of RBIs. It will be tough for him, them not making the playoffs because it's such a competitive AL East, which I think that will bring his point even more of getting it. I think there'll be teams around. There'll be guys.
Yeah.
You said the center fielder there for the White Sox. I think
Luis Robert.
Mm-hmm. Even the Red Sox side, Rafael Devers always has a chance. Aaron Judge, you name it. But I'm going Wander Franco. That's my bold prediction.
I'm gonna go with this one is tough, but I'm gonna go with Jose Abreu.
Oh, I like that.
Because Abreu won the MVP in 2020, but I do think that Jose Abreu, with his leadership and what he means to the White Sox club, man, I think for a team that has legitimate, deep October aspirations, I really believe that Jose Abreu could very well carry this club throughout this entire season if they're healthy. But I also do think that he has a tremendous supporting cast, but we also know how much he means to the club in terms of his bat, what he brings to first base and so forth. So I gotta go with Jose Abreu.
Okay, yeah, because you're saying they're gonna be like the probably one.
They're going to win the division. I'm confident in saying now. They're going to win the division.
Oh yeah, that's a cakewalk, AL Central.
Right. As much as Minnesota has, they have added a few pieces here and there. They added Carlos Correa with that interesting contract. I'm just okay, sure. And as well as acquiring Gary Sanchez, and as well as Gio Urshela from the Yankees in that trade for Josh Donaldson and Kinsler Falefa. I still think it's the White Sox division to lose.
I thought of you the other day. I watched the Red Sox spring training for a second, and they were playing the Twins.
Yeah.
Gio Urshela missed the ball to his left, so I'm like, good trade.
Too early to tell.
Yeah. We'll finish up with the NL MVP. I think we just mentioned himself. It's a lot of big question marks for his return. But a team that I think that's going to go the NLCS against the Dodgers, I'm going with Christian Yelich. I think he's going to come back, play hard for this team. They have a pretty good team this year. Not that big stack of division. The Pirates are always down. Cincinnati's always down. The Cubs are going to be down this year, and the Cardinals are going to be the only team that really give them a big fight. So I think the Brewers have a great chance of making it happen.
I think it's going to be Nolan Arenado of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, okay. We'll stay in
because now that you have Albert Pujols, yes, Albert Pujols is a St. Louis Cardinal in what will be his final major league season, as he announced just a couple of days ago.
Best slow pitch softball player in the league.
You got to be fucking kidding me.
He looks great.
This guy, but no, what a story that in itself is going to be. For just for Major League Baseball in itself, the end of an era. If you are our age and you saw Pujols when he first came up, those first 11 years were unlike any 11 years that we've ever seen.
He's the best hitter of my generation.
Of our generation, with no question.
Oh no, I'm not saying the player he was before when I used the slow pitch reference. I'm just saying the guy who it looks like right now, and I think he'd be the first one to come out and say it.
Yeah. There's a reason why he went to the Cardinals because one, yes, he's gonna go into the Hall of Fame wearing a Cardinals hat. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's number one. Yes, he spent 10 years in Anaheim, but his greatest years, winning 3 MVPs, 2 World Series championships, St. Louis. And he's a legend. He's a legend. He's almost like an idol that's completely worshipped in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's like KG going back to Minnesota for his last season.
Right.
In the NBA. It's same breeze there. So you have
I have Nolan Arenado winning the National League MVP.
Well, we'll hit hockey for a second because we got to kind of wrap up here.
Yeah.
But the Bruins, have been playing very well. I think they're 2 points behind Toronto after a tough 6-2 game the other night. So I was there Tuesday night. It was tough to see because after the acquisition of Lindholm there on the defensive side, you thought, okay, now they're going to be strong there. And it wasn't the problem with goals. They ended up with 4 goals, but their defense broke down. Swayman certainly didn't play his best game, but there was a lot of breakdowns, at least, rebounding, turnovers in the defensive end. Mm-hmm. But it's good to see that, both teams at the Garden are playing very well. I think, this game against New Jersey tonight is big to just get back on track. They're sitting at 41-20-5. That's a great record. I mean, they can't, all these teams in front of them in their division, they can't help that.
Exactly. Yeah. And to wrap up the podcast here with the Bruins thought for a moment, I think what will happen now is, let's say if they're able to bounce back and win the game against the Devils on Thursday night, which is right around the same time that we're recording this podcast, I think that it's a step in the right direction, get it back on a winning track and whatnot. But I also do think that this is also a team that is still going to be working on finding its game and making sure that they're able to get through April unscathed in terms of injuries, because we've seen in the last few years how April injuries have impacted this team going into the playoffs. So that's going to be interesting, because be prepared, folks. April 1st, starting with the game on Saturday on April 2nd, they're essentially going to be playing on average every other night.
They have a lot of dime a dozen players, too. I never obviously want anyone to get hurt, but if someone gets hurt, one of these fourth liners, and I love Lazar's game, but just an example there.
Yeah.
If he goes down, not the biggest deal, because they have someone to come in for that. But if you get a guy, Pasternak, who's got 37, 38 goals on the year, or even Bergeron, who leads by example, Marchand.
And by the way. Yeah. McLaughlin makes his debut tonight.
Oh, that's right. BC along.
Yeah, he makes his debut tonight. So I'm curious to see how he'll look, and if at all he can make any sort of notable contributions to this team moving forward as this team enters the final month of the regular season.
Yeah, and they gave DeBrusque a couple more years. I don't know if they're going to use that with the trade at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I fully thought when they heard that at the beginning of the day of the trade deadline that he was gone. I thought he was as good as gone. I thought they were going to. It was more of a signing trade type of thing.
Oh yeah.
But it was good to see Lindholm, who's a vet, has played in Anaheim his whole career. He came here, signed an 8-year extension. I mean, the amount of stuff they kind of gave up for him, I'm glad they got him to. Stick there, and he's just so soft. Out of the first couple of games I've seen,
the first game he was outstanding, which I was there for. He was outstanding.
But when you see a defensive player in hockey, and they're just solid, and their presence is better than anything, that's all you need from a defenseman, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to keeping guys in front of you, making sure you don't turn over the puck in the defensive zone. But it really come down to it. It's the presence there. It's what Charlie McAvoy comes in and does every night. He puts the lumber on people, gets in the right spots, makes the people around him better. And that's bottom line what you need. It's good to see you don't have just one guy in that. I know Carlos played well. I like Riley too. I know Clifton's at the bottom there. But to get another guy who's first liner, I don't know how they're gonna do going forward of mixing in those two to get the best out of the pairing they're working with. But have another 1-2 guy is really big for this team.
For sure.
Yeah. Anything else? What you got going on this weekend? Anything fun?
No. I am actually going to be I'm starting the month of Ramadan either tomorrow or Saturday, which I'll be fasting from sunrise to sunset for 29 or 30 days, and preparing for my first broadcast on Wednesday. Thank you.
Let's go.
Thank you. Next week, Wednesday, for Brown University, I believe they're playing Holy Cross. That's on ESPN Plus at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
Sport baseball?
Yeah, college baseball.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Holy Cross, you going to go over to Worcester, or is it in Providence?
No, Providence.
Awesome. Good stuff. I'm playing my first round of 18 this weekend, Saturday.
Let's go!
Out there.
Ow!
I guarantee a hole in one. No, I don't guarantee.
You better record it if it happens. If it happens, I want to see that recorded.
I have one. I'll show you after the show, but I have one, and it's recorded. It was great. A lot of excitement on that green.
Sweet.
But thanks everyone for joining us tonight on Diamond Blades episode 4. Give me some more, right?
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. We hope you enjoyed the conversation along with that, tough remark there. I want to thank Hedgebettor for making this all possible. Hope everyone has a great weekend and make it happen out there. We'll see you next time.
Deuces. I got it.